All right, friends, happy Friday. Ryan Dorn here from Brainswell Media. Thrilled to have you here joining us. We've got 490 some odd people that are joining us today. Pretty important topic, I guess, huh? Conquering your inbox to own your sales day. As we put together this webinar, we're like, got titles like 9 Ways to Survive Email Sales Hell and, don't be a slave to your inbox. And Christy and I batted that name back and forth 5,000 times. And in the end, we're figuring out, hey, we just need to conquer your inbox so that you can own back your sales day. 9 proven ideas for success. So a big thank you to the magazine manager and to the newspaper manager. That is my CRM of choice. And quite honestly, the CRM that I see most media companies using. No matter your CRM, we all have an inbox that we've got to manage every single day. And that's really what we're going to be talking about today on the webinar, managing your inbox so that you can get back some time and quite honestly, so that you can be more productive. Chat your questions across as the webinar goes on, and happy to answer all of those questions for you. As I said, my name is Ryan Dorn. My company is Brainswell Media. I'm also the host of the Ad Sales Nation podcast. Do you listen to it every month? What? You don't listen to the Ad Sales Nation podcast? It's on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon, wherever you listen, you can find the Ad Sales Nation podcast. And we talk about a lot of really fun topics related to your ad sales life. The 360 Ad Sales Training Program is a program that I teach. So I'd love to come to your office and train your sales team how to be the best in the business. We're seeing a growth of 30 to 45% from sales teams that actually put it into practice, and I love to work with you. I work with magazines and newspaper companies, large and small. I've worked with over 500 different magazine titles all around the world and trained just over 7,000 salespeople in 7 countries. Why do I tell you that? Because I want you to know I sell media every day too. So everything we talk about today are things, tactics, skills, core practices that I do on a daily basis. And I think that it's important to you as well. So where have I been in my life? I started at Vance Publishing in Chicago when I was there for college, and I've worked for the New York Times Company, ABC, Disney, great time at Penwell. So I've really done the media gauntlet, and 8 years later, I don't have that much gray hair. 28 years later, still love this business, and it's going to continue to feed my family for a lifetime. All right, when we're done, where do you go for more information? You're going to go over to 360adsales.com. That's where you'll find the podcast, the Ad Sales Nation blog. It's where you'll find links to all of the webinars that have ever been done, sponsored by the magazine manager and the newspaper manager. 360adsales.com. All right, this is all about habits and effective habits of managing your email. So what are the 3 components of an effective habit? Everybody thinks they know, but they really don't. Were you aware that 76% of people will actually fail at their New Year's resolution? 76% by the 28th of January. So why is that? Well, I think it's because, maybe we're drinking on New Year's Eve. I don't know. I think it's because we know what we need to do. We have the knowledge really of what we need to do. And maybe or maybe not, we have the skills to do it. Quite honestly, it's the desire. Do we have the long-term desire to actually change our habits in our sales lives to be more effective? So at the top of this Venn diagram is knowledge. I'm going to share with you today what to do and why you should do it. I'm also going to share with you the skills here on the lower left, the skills of how to do it. And now I can't control your desire. Hopefully you've got the desire to be the baddest, best sales rep at your media company. If you don't, then change your idea. You can be successful too. And that's where the great formation of habits actually begins. What you want to do, why you want to do it, and how you're going to do it. And that's what we're really going to focus on in some pretty vivid detail today. Were you aware that a U.S. worker receives more than 11,000 emails per year? 11,000. Here's the interesting thing. That's a U.S. worker. Not even in the media sales business. I'm going to guess that each one of you receives anywhere from 100 to 200 emails every day, because guess what? We're not normal. We knew that. We knew that we were wacky and crazy to be in this media sales business, right? We get a lot more than that. I'm going to guess that you get 30,000 emails a year. So what do we do with those emails, and how do we not become a slave to our inbox? Do you recognize the days when all you've done is managed your inbox, and at the end of the day you feel like you've got nothing freaking done? Well, I don't want that to happen to you anymore. And I'm thankful to sit in front of you today to say that I am no longer a slave to my inbox and I get a lot done. Sell media myself, sell my training company, sell sponsorships for my wife's events, sell my podcast, and so much more. I know that you can do it too. Here's typically what happens though. If you look at your inbox, the vast majority of it really is reply all, email hell. I mean, you really have to reply to things. See, it's a fallacy that people that tell you that you can ignore email, just overlook it. I'm not man enough to do that. I just can't. And in the sales business, we can't. That's why all of these books, Getting to Inbox Zero, man, that'd be freaking awesome. That'd be nirvana for me. But quite honestly, it's not going to happen for most of us. So how do we manage what we've got? How do we get that number down to zero or as close as possible? When you look at this chart, we're getting all of our confirmations from the Amazon orders that we've bought. We've subscribed accidentally to emails, or maybe if you're like me, you get emails from people. You're like, I never even bought anything from you. Why the heck are you sending me email? How about this? You order a pair, like one pair of socks from a particular vendor, and then what are you doing? You're getting freaking socks. Like, you're getting emails from them every other day. You get a lot of LinkedIn updates. And then, quite honestly, there's a sliver of our inbox that's actually vividly important to our lives. So what can we do to sort all through that? That's what we're going to talk about today. First and foremost, before we get to our 9 tips, do not be misled. Many people think that by quickly replying to email, that means that you're being time efficient and that you're offering great customer service. This is not true. See, a lot of us, as we look at our inboxes, or all of a sudden our phone beeps and we're like, oh my gosh, I'll just reply to that real quick. When you do that, you actually can become highly distracted. I'm going to share with you in a minute how many hours per year you're actually losing. For me, there is no such thing really as an email emergency. Now, I know that you're on deadline, but I think it's highly unlikely that you've ever received this email. Dear Ryan, help me. I'm at a restaurant and I'm choking. Can you please send me a link to a YouTube video on the Heimlich maneuver? Ask yourself, have you ever received an email like this? Okay, the answer is no. So because of that, there really are no such thing as publishing emergencies. I mean, we need to be responsive. But here's the thing to recognize. More than 70% of people expected a response from coworkers within your office within 4 hours. So I think that's reasonable. It's not instantaneous. A lot of us have been misled. We truly believe that instantaneously responding to every email that comes in translates into amazing customer service to our advertisers. Why do we feel that way? Well, maybe we like to get a quick reply, or an advertiser has said to us, hey, Ryan, man, you really reply to emails quickly and I appreciate it. And so because of that, you think that you need to do that absolutely all day long. It's actually costing you 174 work hours per year. And I'm going to make sure that I prove that to you here in just a minute. Now, a lot of times veteran sellers, let's just say those over the age of 40, veteran sellers say to us, yeah, but Ryan, I'm selling to millennials. Millennials expect an immediate response to emails. So let me throw this question out to all of you, millennials and non-millennials. Okay, and by the way, love my millennial salespeople, love them. I really mean that, by the way. How quickly, based on a survey, an article at fastcompany.com, how quickly do millennials expect a reply to an email of moderate importance? Because I think we all would recognize if an email comes through and it's marked as urgent or it says urgent, we need to reply right away. How quickly do millennials expect a reply to an email of moderate importance? Ask yourself that. What do you think the answer is according to Fast Company and their study? Same business day. That's the answer. They expect a reply within the same business day. Now, hold on. Okay, y'all are starting to flood me with comments here. Now, think about this. It's important to recognize that you're not everybody. You don't represent everybody. So you might be a millennial or you might be a Gen Xer, and you might be saying, Ryan, I want an email right away. You don't represent everybody. You might be weird. You might be average. You might be unique. I don't know. But the vast majority of millennials surveyed are expecting an email within the same business day. So don't be misled. Don't think for a second that millennials are out there saying, if you don't reply to me, old man, I'm not going to do business with you. That's not how they operate. And the statistics actually prove it. Now, what's important though, from a sales perspective, is to share this with you. 2,200 companies were surveyed. Sales leads where a phone contact happened in less than 60 minutes were 7 times more likely to have a meaningful conversation with a decision maker, according to Sales Driver. So I know we're talking about email today, but let's recognize something. Of 2,200 companies surveyed, when a sales lead came in, I wouldn't be replying to that lead via email. Instead, I'd be picking up the phone, because sales leads where a phone contact happened in less than 60 minutes were 7 times more likely to have a meaningful conversation with a decision maker. So recognize when sales leads come in, it's not about how fast you reply to that email. Quite honestly, if you want to get through to that decision maker, pick up the phone. Let me give you an example. I emailed a contact of mine, a sales lead. It was an excellent sales lead yesterday. I said in the email, hey, John, Josh wants to buy your product. He needs it. Call him ASAP. And I put Josh's phone number. What did John do? John emailed Josh and said, hey, Josh, nice to meet you. When would you potentially like to meet? And Josh replied, right now, call me. He replied back again and said, hey, use this link to get on my calendar. Hey, man, maybe you're not recognizing this. It's all about email, but if you want to jazz your phone time up, if you want to make sure you're closing a lot of business, you got to pick up the phone. So recognize, even though we're talking about email today, when a sales lead comes in, you're 7 times more likely to have a meaningful conversation if you pick up the phone. All right, do you feel like you're always putting out fires? Sometimes you need to let some fires burn. And I think that's one of the most important things I can share with you today. Recognize that every single email that comes into your inbox, A, it's not necessarily important. B, doesn't necessarily need an immediate response. And C, if it can burn, let it burn. And we're going to talk about how to recognize that today. All right, let's go through these 9 habits together. Idea number 1, delete first. One of the fastest ways to delete email is to use your check mark or your shift and click to delete emails in mass. One of the things I most often use my phone for first thing in the morning and at the dedicated times of day that I check my email, I'm actually using it because I can highlight things quickly to delete on my phone. Delete first. A lot of people don't do this. You actually read first. You try to prioritize first. Go through and delete spam and unsubscribe. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Delete items that you need to get out of your inbox first. Get rid of those things. Get rid of it as quickly as you can, because what you don't want to do is miss things. You want to be able to isolate things. You've got to delete first. You can typically tell by the subject line and the first few words whether it's something that you even need. It might be spam, it might be a solicitation, or it might be just one of those replies. You know what I'm talking about? One of those replies that you often get from folks that's like, got it, okay, brilliant, genius, you're the best, those type of things. By the way, as a company, you could actually adopt a philosophy where people don't need to respond by saying, got it, awesome, cool, you're the best. You could, as a company, come up with a policy that says, hey, when you get an email from me, if you agree, you don't have to send back, I agree, or you don't need to confirm receipt of that email. Email's pretty good. Usually it does get through. It leads me to idea number 2. After I delete first, then you always start with the oldest email first. It's a common problem. It's a common problem. People start at the top of the inbox every time. Start with the oldest email first. I do this as a matter of religion every single time. Now, I put the most current email at the top, but I scroll to the bottom of the page, and I always start with the oldest email first. I feel like they deserve it. I also recognize when I start at the top of what just came in, I'm actually getting myself out of order. Starting at the top of your inbox is a super dangerous life loop. You don't want to do that. Always start at the bottom. Now, you might say, because somebody just chatted it across, you know, Ryan, this is very simple. These are things that everybody should be doing. The simple fact is this: most people don't. Most people in life don't do the simplest things that will make a serious difference in your sales life. Delete email first, then start with the oldest email first. Go to the bottom and start there first. Then we start getting into strategy. Number 3, it's all about using templates. Understand that templates are going to drive your sales life. Now, there's 2 programs that you should either be using. Either you're using Gmail in the browser, or you're using Outlook as an email client, or you're using Outlook online. Now, if you're like me, you're a Mac user, maybe you're using MacMail. I would not use MacMail. MacMail doesn't have enough features built into it, and I'm an Apple guy, love Apple. MacMail doesn't have the features built into it that savvy salespeople need. I'm going to share with you 3 or 4 email apps today that most of you have never heard about. Because you've never heard about them, you're missing out on amazing technology that can change your sales life, but it's not going to work with MacMail. It's not going to work with Thunderbird. It's not going to work with Eudora or something like that. Recognize that there's 2 main email platforms that most offices use. Outlook, either online, or Outlook as a client, or Gmail. So if you're using Outlook to check your Gmail, Gmail actually has some better features built in within the browser. Using templates, I'm either going to use Quick Parts in Outlook, or I'm going to use canned responses in Gmail to manage my templates. Let's talk about Outlook, then we'll talk about Gmail. Anytime that I write an email twice, I don't save it to a folder. I don't go and search for it in my sent mail. I don't save it onto my desktop. In Outlook, I'm going to create Quick Parts. Quick Parts allow you to very, very easily create templates within Microsoft Outlook. So depending on the version that you have, you can use the Insert tab, and then you'll go over and you'll find Quick Parts up underneath the text box next to the Bookmark tab. What you're able to do there is create templates, whether it's prospecting templates, it might be report response templates, it might be deadline templates, it might be responding to rate card templates. Say you're selling an event and you need to repeat event information over and over again. Anytime you write an email more than 2 times, create a template for it or use Quick Parts to drive that into your email. So what you do under Quick Parts is it's very easy. You copy and paste the template and you give it a name. From that point forward, anytime you compose an email in Outlook, you can simply stick your cursor anywhere you want in that email. You can then go and choose a Quick Part to insert that at that point in the document. Now, this is one of the things some of you are chatting across. You didn't even know this existed. It's there. It's there for you to use. A lot of you just aren't using technology to your advantage. It allows me to answer email more quickly. It allows me to respond more quickly. It allows me to stay focused. It allows me to stay on track. Now, if you're using Gmail in the browser, which for me, I used to use clients, email clients all the time. I don't do that anymore. And the reason I don't is because I don't want that information sitting on my computer in case my email crashes or something like that. In Gmail, you use a thing called canned responses. Canned responses are found in the lower right-hand corner of your Gmail screen. You see where the 1 is here? There's a little gray arrow. Then you open an email, you put your cursor in the email. Choose the little gray arrow. Go up under canned responses and choose your canned response. So within Gmail, you want to go to labs. So in the upper right-hand corner up here, under the little sprocket, you're going to click on the sprocket for settings. You're going to go to labs and then settings, and you're going to find canned responses. Turn it on. It's free of charge for you. You're then going to be able to create canned responses. Now, if you're not using canned responses, if you're not using Outlook's Quick Parts, this is one of the ways that I can rock through my email really fast. Some of you also, because you're bad with grammar, you're bad with spelling, you need someone to look at the templates that you're using. Because a lot of you are amazing salespeople, but quite honestly, you can't spell for crap. So because of that, you just potentially look bad. And so I want you to recognize, and this is just, by the way, one of about 5 tools I'm going to show you today to freaking own your inbox. Now, as a side note, I check my email 4 to 5 times per day. I shut it down in between those other times because I'm not man enough to resist replying to email. That's why I don't have chimes and pop-ups on my phone. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. So for me, when I get to my email, there's basically only maybe one of 20 responses most email actually needs. People are going to ask me the same questions in media sales land all of the time. For my ad sales training business, when I'm training your team, publishers are only going to ask me 8 to 15 different things. I have a canned response for that or a template for that. In the media sales business for my event, they're only going to ask things like, I need more information, how much is it, when is move-in, those type of things. For my media sales business, how much does it cost? What do the rates look like? What is the deadline for turning in audio? What's the deadline for print next month? Or whatever the circumstance is. That's why templates are so unbelievably important. All right, now some of you are about to have your minds blown. You're going to say, oh my gosh, Ryan, known you for a long time. This is freaking awesome. Idea number 4 of 9. Try it. Try a program called If No Reply or auto scheduling. If No Reply is the Gmail app that you can add to Gmail that's amazing. It allows you, and you can do this in Outlook. I'll show you how to do it as well with another app. This allows you to schedule a series of emails to a prospect. If they don't reply to the email, if the prospect doesn't reply to you, the system automatically sends them the next email in your series. Okay, so who loves it so far, huh? So let me show you what it looks like. So this is If No Reply. So as an example, within the Gmail browser. So remember, a lot of this is within the browser on Gmail. Yeah, I'm going to get to Outlook in a second. All you Outlook people, be patient. So this is what it's going to pull up. So what I'm going to do with If No Reply is I'm going to set a series of emails. So on day 1, the email that's going to go out, I can schedule the subject line, the body of the email. I can make the email look however I want it to look. If they don't reply, just as an example, on day number 2, I can send an email then that says, just following up on the email I sent yesterday, if they don't reply. And I can set the number of days that I want that to occur after. Then I can set up another one. I can do a new step. See right here, new step. And then on day 4, if they didn't reply, I can send another email, and it's going to automatically do this. Now, the thing to remember that's so freaking awesome about this, yes, I'm going to get to Outlook in a minute here. Hang on. Is that you can actually create a template. So as an example, let's just say that you're closing on you're going to get ready to sell a special section of your magazine. And what you want to do is put together a series of 5 emails that are actually going to go in sequence to a prospect. To save you time, if they don't reply to the email, it's going to automatically send them the second email. Then within 4 or 5 days, whatever you set, it's going to send them the 4th email, 5th email, so on and so forth. You don't even, and now if they reply, it's going to stop. That's the cool part. If they actually reply, they're not going to get any more of them. So within Gmail, and I think maybe it's $20 a month per user. Don't make your company pay for it, you cheapskate. Somebody just send over, my company would never pay for this. Hey, quit being such a cheapskate. If it's $20, give me a break. It's $20. I think it's very, very worthwhile within Gmail. All right, so all you Outlook people that are hassling me, how do you do it within Outlook? There's an app that's called Auto Follow-Up. Now, I'm not intimate with how Auto Follow-Up works, but I know that within Outlook, it's going to add a tab. All right, so I'm a Mac guy, and I use Gmail, I don't have Outlook, but a lot of my clients do. So there's an Outlook app that's called Auto Follow-Up. Somebody asked, what's it cost? I think it's $20. I believe they're all $20. And then what you can do is you can set Auto Follow-Up. So you can set sequences of emails. You can set emails if somebody doesn't reply. You can even set emails if somebody does reply. So using technology, and by the way, it works the same way as If No Reply in general. The thing to remember is this. Very often we neglect to use technology to our advantage. So if you want to conquer your inbox, one of the things you've got to recognize is if you're working a top 20 list for your prospects, that's what I would teach you. Work a top 20 list. If I'm working that top 20 list and I load the prospecting emails from a template, what I can do is I can go in, I can customize them however I want for each client. I can set them to go. And if the client doesn't reply, the email system is going to automatically reply back to them. So what it does is it saves me unbelievable amounts of time. Now, those of you that know me know that I'm a little prone to exaggerate because I'm in sales, right? Been doing it a long time. How much time has this saved me in any given week? I would say that it saves me anywhere from 4 to 8 hours a week, because I'm not having to reply to people. Now, here's the cool thing. If you're a magazine manager user or you're a newspaper manager user, set up the BCC automatically. So it's going to log these emails into your CRM, and it's going to impact your activity report. So this is kind of a little bit of a side note. All the bosses out there are probably like, oh my gosh, Ryan, don't tell them this. This is a great sales tool. If you want to ramp up your email activity, which by the way, if I'm not going to be sending emails because it's automated, if I'm going to be sending emails because it's automated, I'm going to use that time I'm saving to pick up the dang phone, call clients. So there you go, sales directors and publishers out there. I'm telling your people, pick up the phone. Use this time saved to pick up the phone and call folks. This will change your sales lives, friends. Use technology to your advantage. So again, in Gmail, it's called if no reply. And then in Outlook, the app is called Auto Follow-Up. Now, somebody just chatted across. Thank you for all the questions and comments, by the way. There's a lot in here, so I won't be able to get to all of them. Sorry. We've got about 400 some people here today. Is that there's a lot of technology out there. There's a lot of apps for Outlook that a lot of people aren't using. So make sure you go and potentially check those out. All right, idea number 5 of 9. Delete, move, or reply. Don't skip. That's not an option. So when it comes to effective inbox email management, delete, move, reply. Don't skip over things. Now, please recognize that your email program is not a database. It's not designed to store data. That's what Magazine Manager or the Newspaper Manager is going to do for you. Store the notes, store all the follow-ups, use your lists, your call lists, manage that within your CRM. Don't manage that stuff within your email or your Google Calendar. Manage it within your CRM. Use your CRM to your advantage. But I have 3 options when I look at an email. I'm either going to delete it, I'm going to move it, meaning I'm either going to move the data, or I'm going to move it into a folder for archiving to follow up later, or I'm going to reply to it. What I'm not doing in my inbox is, oh man, I'll skip that and get back to it later. So I check my email 4 to 5 times per day. It's not always open. I time block that activity. So in the morning, I'm obviously going to be checking first thing. I'm going to be checking around 11 because that's my first prospecting time block. I'm going to be checking right after lunch because people send things during lunch, around 3 and around 5, because I truly believe anything that comes in before 5 o'clock deserves a reply in my time zone or in my client's time zone. It's one of the things that makes me really frustrated. I deal with a lot of West Coast companies. And guys, I mean, when it's 5 o'clock for you in New York or 5 o'clock for you in Boston, I mean, they're just barely getting done with lunch out on the West Coast. We can't shut down at 5 o'clock because we're East Coasters. We've got to recognize if a client from California is emailing us and it's 3 o'clock, 3, 4, 5, 6, it's 6 o'clock for us, they still probably need a response within the same day. They're not going to say, well, you know, they're on the East Coast, so we'll give them till tomorrow. I mean, my California clients are freaking awesome. I love them, but they still deserve my attention. So skipping email for later, okay, quote unquote later, do it later, results in 22% of email being left behind. Because what happens is when you skip something for later, it does what I like to call the inbox drift. The inbox drift drifts down the inbox. And when it gets off that first page, a lot of times we don't get back to it. So we need to make sure that we're either deleting it, we're moving it for follow-up, or we're replying to it. Don't skip it. Skipping email, that email is going to do the inbox drift, and a lot of times we're going to miss it later on. So that's super, super important. All right, coffee break. I need to take a breath. Coffee break brought to you by the Magazine Manager, the Newspaper Manager. People say, Ryan, how do you get so much done every day? Coffee. Coffee is my drug of choice. Coffee break. Yeah, reach out to the Magazine Manager folks, whoever your consultant is or your rep, and thank them for sponsoring these webinars. You know, if it wasn't for the fine folks over at the Magazine Manager and the Newspaper Manager, a lot of the stuff you'd be missing because you got to pay for it, and they're making this available to you absolutely free of charge. All right, idea number 6 of 9, unsubscribe like a boss. What I mean by that is stop deleting e-newsletters that you don't want to receive. I mean, except my e-newsletter, never delete my e-newsletter. Unsubscribe like a boss. And there actually is a service. If you're subscribed to a lot of things that you don't know while you're on them, go and use unroll.me. Unroll.me. I think it's like $9 or something like that. What Unroll.me does is it allows you to put on your screen in one dashboard. It's an app. It allows you to go ahead and put all of the e-newsletters you want to subscribe to in one place. It also will help you bring in the e-newsletters that you have not subscribed to, and it will help you unsubscribe and manage all of those. Recognize also something, that if you are receiving e-newsletters from spammers, report them as spam. Now, don't report somebody as spam just because you bought something and you don't like it. That's not fair. Unsubscribe from those, but unsubscribe like a boss. Now, if you're somebody that's getting so many of these that you can't keep up with, your email list may have been rented, it may have been bought, it might have been sold. So you might even consider changing your email address. I know a lot of people that do that. But you can use unroll.me to get rid of, I would say, 50% of the e-newsletter clutter that you actually don't want into your inbox. So one of the things that I do as a matter of practice is, if an e-newsletter comes to me, the first time I see it and I'm like, hey, I never signed up for this, I immediately go to the bottom and I unsubscribe and walk through the process. If they don't have an unsubscribe link, no matter who it is, bam, I hit the spam button on Gmail because I did not ask to be subscribed to this. But friends, reporting somebody as a spammer is tough because that's going to affect their deliverability rating. So recognize, if you bought an item from somebody, or if you met someone like me at a conference, you gave me your card and said, hey, send me a copy of your slides, you know, I'm gonna go ahead and add you to my list, but I'm usually going to tell you that I'm doing that. All right, number 7, you're going to hate this one. Turn off your email pop-up and chime. Turn it off. Now, the reason that a lot of people hate that is because you've become conditioned to your phone buzzing every single time an email comes in. Bzz, you're grabbed for it. I'll tell you the story of a guy. I was in Toronto, Canada, up at Magnet in Toronto. I was meeting with a client, and we went to a really cool place, cool restaurant, and both of our phones were sitting on the table. And his phone buzzed, and he reached over and knocked over an expensive glass of wine, dropped that glass of wine right on the table, and it ran into my lap. I'll never forget it. First of all, wine fault by knocking it over. And I said to the guy, hey, man, what's up? You expecting medical results? Ha, ha, ha. And he's like, oh, man, it's just an email from my kid, or something like that. See, a lot of us, we just can't resist it. When the phone buzzes, we have to look at it. So I recognized this, and I said to myself, how much time am I losing every year by thinking to myself, I'll just reply real quick to that email, or I'll just check my email real quick. That's why I check my email at times throughout the day that I time block. Check this out. A 30-second interruption, a 30-second interruption can cause you to take 2 minutes to re-engage. So just bouncing to your email real quick could take you 2 minutes to re-engage. If this happens 20 times per day, that could cause you 40 minutes of lost time per day. 40 minutes of lost time per day. That's 174 hours per work year. All right, 174. I've got my calculator here. Let's just say, do you know how to figure out how much money you make an hour? All right, I'll show you how to do it. Let's just say, as an example, let's say you make $65,000 a year. Punch that in. You divide that by 2080. 2080, that's how many work hours there are in a year. So if you made $65,000 a year and you divide that by 2080, that means you make $31.25 an hour. You're losing 174 hours. So take $31.25 times 174. You're losing 5,437 hours. Let me just ramp this a little bit, because some of you are sales superstars. Let's just say you're making $150,000 a year. By the way, right on, rock and roll, okay? Divide that by 2080. That means you're making $72 an hour. Rock on, sister and brother. It's awesome. Take that times 174 hours of lost time average a year, okay? That's 12 grand. That's $12,000. I did this math for a group a couple weeks ago, and this one joker was like, $4 grand, it's not really that much. I'm like, dude, $4 grand, that's because you're sucking in sales. You need to make more money and recognize you're losing a lot of time with your bad habits. You're making 40 grand a year. Come on, you could do better than that. A 30-second interruption is actually translates into 174 work hours per year that you're losing. Translate that into money, cold hard cash. Man, you're losing some money. So for me, I figured out, hey man, I'm losing $10,000, $15,000 a year or more. I don't know about you. That's a lot of money. That's like a Porsche payment or something, or awesome house payment, or going on a cruise somewhere twice. For me, you're losing a lot of time. So recognize, turn off that email pop-up and chime, because most of you, you just can't handle it. All right, number 8 of 9. We want to recognize vividly that your inbox is not for storage. Now, what I notice time and time again is that people are storing emails for a lifetime. That's not what email is for. That's what your CRM is for. That's why you want to use Magazine Manager and the Newspaper Manager to its fullest. Your inbox is not a storage device. There is a difference. There's a difference between archiving something that's much different than storage. Let me give you an example. If you're going to, first, the 3 things you're going to do. 1, you could reply and then delete it, because recognize when someone responds back to you, it's going to bring the thread back. Or you want to reply and archive it, meaning that it's something you need to follow up later. Let me give you an example. Say an advertiser says to you, hey, Ryan, love you, mean it. I'm not going to advertise until December, and so get back to me then. That information in that email thread you may potentially want to archive. Now, you could archive that within Gmail, but I would encourage you not to necessarily just do that. What I would do is I would archive that within your CRM. So archiving for follow-up, what you want to do is place the subject line in your to-do list within your CRM. Use your CRM to remind you. But what you can do, especially with Gmail, is you actually can set it up. You can set up the archive. When you do this, you can also set it up so that it'll automatically put a copy within Magazine Manager. So you can use your BCC to drive that in. So look here at the bottom is where this is. To enable send and archive, go into your settings on Gmail and turn it on. By default, it's set to hide. So you can turn it on to show, which is send and archive in the reply button area. And it could potentially be very helpful. But again, I want you to recognize that your email is not a storage device. Use your CRM for that. So somebody just chatted across, what if we don't have Magazine Manager? Okay, easy answer for you. Buy Magazine Manager. How about that? If you don't have Magazine Manager, you need it. I don't know how you do your job without an effective CRM. I guess if you don't have it, you can use the features in Outlook and Gmail as well. Now, by setup, Outlook is going to have an auto archive feature. What you want to be careful of is this. Things crash, you lose things. Even if it's cloud-based, you're not going to get everything back that you thought you had. And everyone is reliant upon the cloud. Recognize, for me, you want to make sure that you're not storing your emails for long-term use. It's really not meant for that. And I think that's a very important piece, really to recognize. All right, idea number 9 of 9, so our last idea for the day. You want to understand how to use delayed send or send later. Okay, understand how to use delayed send or send later. Now, what delayed send or send later is your ability to write emails at another time and then send them at another time. So let me give you an example. Let's just say that emails have come in since Friday. Let's just say it's Saturday morning and you've got a few minutes and you want to respond to some emails. Rather than start a conversation with a client over the weekend, what I'm going to do is I'm going to reply, say, for example, on a Saturday, but I'm going to set it to arrive in their inbox at the most appropriate time. Recognize that spammers love the weekend. So because I recognize that most people don't set meetings at 11 a.m. in their time zone because they don't want to interrupt lunch, I want to make sure that my email hits at 11 a.m. So in Outlook, and I'll show you Gmail, in Outlook, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the do not deliver before function. So I'm going to show you Outlook 2 ways. Okay, I'm going to cook this dish 2 ways. This is the older Outlook option, and then I'm going to show you the newer one. So within your message options, once you've composed an email, there's a little checkbox. It says right here, do not deliver before. You put the time and you put the date. Now, if you're using like Outlook 365 as an example, or Outlook 360, what you're going to see is a thing called delayed delivery. Once you compose a message, this is where people get messed up. It all happens on an individualized messaging level. Go to your options tab, and then you're going to want to choose delayed delivery. And then it will show do not deliver before a date and a time. Now, when do I use this most often? I use this most often when I'm writing emails in the morning and I want to be effective in my prospecting. When I'm going to be gone to a trade show and I want prospecting emails to continue to go out. So let me give you an example. Some mornings I wake up really, really early, just can't sleep any longer. I've been told the way to just get up and get going. So let's just say that it's 6:30 in the morning and I'm working from home. I don't want to send emails to my clients at 6:30. Let's just say in the morning, let's just say that they have replied in the middle of the night for some odd reason. Maybe they have insomnia as well. And I want to reply to them. I want the email to hit their inbox, say at 9 a.m. I can write the email and then I can send it to not deliver before 9 a.m., just as an example. Now, one of the things to recognize, there's some bad advice going on out there, going around. Ryan, you want to reply first thing in the morning because that's when everybody answers their email. This is false. This is not correct. I don't know who told these people this. When people get to work first thing in the morning, they are not in a good mood. Are you? Most people are in delete mode. There's 2 times of day that people are in delete mode. Right when they get to work and then right after lunch. So recognize those 2 times people are in delete mode, right when they get to work and right after lunch. Now, how do I know this? I've observed it. I'm an observant cat, all right? So it's important to recognize that you want to make sure you use delayed delivery or send later as a way to get around normal human habits. Recognize that. Well, Ryan, when I get to work, I'm bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. I love to reply to emails first thing in the morning. You're weird. Just tell yourself that. It's okay. I'm weird too. Join my club, the Weird Salespeople Club. You've got to recognize human behavior. Human behavior is first thing in the morning, people are in delete mode. What is the worst day and worst time to ever send email? Monday mornings. Are you crazy? Seriously. A sales trainer that I was listening to, just an idiot, said, what you want to do is make sure your email hits at 9 a.m. on Monday morning. Dude, who are you? The 90s are calling. They want you back. 9 a.m. on Monday morning? Are you kidding me? I'm in delete mode. I'm cleaning up my inbox. The last thing I want to see is an email from a freaking salesperson. Bad advice. Recognize this. A lot of the sales books that have been written, go to Barnes & Noble and look at that book. Flip to the front of it and look at the copyright date. Most of those books were written in the late 80s and early 90s. God bless Dale Carnegie. God bless the late, great Chet Holmes, the late Zig Ziglar, and all these fine folks. Their programs, they're trying to update them. Be careful, because a lot of the advice that's being given out there is from the 80s and 90s. Hey, friends, we're in 2018. We got to recognize that we need to use technology to our advantage. One of the things that makes me crazy is when salespeople say, Ryan, I wasn't able to prospect much, because I was out all week at a trade show. Okay, there's this thing called email technology. Write your emails after the show and then set those emails to be delivered at the perfect time of day. All right, somebody just asked this question. Great question. What are the perfect times of day to send emails and get an open and a response? We've talked about it before. I'd love to share it again. Thanks for the question. Here's what I have found. People don't book meetings before lunch because they don't want to interrupt lunch. So I prospect at 11:15. People don't book meetings at 4:15 because they don't want to interrupt going home, picking up their kids, or they want to get to happy hour. So 4:15. So what I find is that if I use delayed delivery or send later, which by the way, that's the one that I use in Google Mail and Gmail. I use Boomerang for this, send later, is that if I hit their inbox at 11:15 or if I hit their inbox at 4:15, I almost always get a response. Now I've got Boomerang up on the screen. Boomerang is a great tool for Outlook. It's an app for Outlook, and it's also a plugin for Gmail. Boomerang does a couple of things. You'll love this. If you get nothing else, you'll love Boomerang from this day forward. You're going to see me at the niche conference or something. You're going to go, Ryan, freaking love Boomerang, dude. Changed my life. Boomerang and God changed my life, okay? And you, Ryan. This is what Boomerang does. Boomerang does a couple of things. Number one, if I'm composing an email and I want to send it later, I can pick the specific time I want it to send. The other thing is when I write an email to somebody, I can say, if this person doesn't reply within a day or 2 days or whatever, it's going to come back to the top of my inbox. It's going to boomerang back to me. Now, obviously, you can use Magazine Manager, Newspaper Manager to remind you to reach back out to people. That's one of the most necessary features of the tool set. But Boomerang is beautiful. So what I can do, notice right down here, I want to boomerang this back to me, okay, in 2 days if there's been no reply to the email. Aha, some of you are like, heck yeah, glad I stuck around because your jokes weren't that good, dude. All right, so I can boomerang stuff back to me in Gmail or Outlook if someone doesn't reply within 2 days. I use this as a sales tool. So I'm going to BCC, so a copy of this goes into Magazine Manager for me. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to set it to boomerang back to the top of my inbox within 2 days, 4 days. Look, I can say, boomerang this back to me tomorrow afternoon. I can boomerang it back to me within an hour, 2 days, within a month, or I can set the specific time. Or I can choose send it later as well. So because of that, I use Boomerang every single day. I was, actually out on the road. My Boomerang subscription, like $19 or something, ran out. And I was like, holy cow, really, what am I going to do? Because quite honestly, for me, was so unbelievably important. Okay, so unbelievably important for me to really focus in on using Boomerang that when my subscription expired, I was like, man, this is, crazy for me. Hey, somebody asked a Magazine Manager question. I don't mind answering it. Somebody asked, how do you archive incoming emails in Magazine Manager? The way that I do it is I have an automatic BCC set up. So the incoming email to my inbox, when I reply to that person, then it's going to automatically go into the contact record because I have a BCC set up. And I automatically, what I do with my BCC, I have a contact within Gmail. I have a contact. The contact's name is first name MM, last name manager. So that whenever I do MM, it automatically fills it in. But then I also have a automatically set up that everything is BCC'd because my inbox is only sales stuff. So I automatically have it set up to BCC everything back into Magazine Manager. So just to be clear, I wasn't saying that everything that comes into the inbox is automatically archived in Magazine Manager. Instead, when I reply to things, I automatically put it in there as well. All right, friends, so good questions. Where do we grow from here? I think this is the best advice I can give you. Grab one idea, just one idea from today, and put it into action right away. Now, for some of you that chatted across, I don't have $19.99 a month to buy these apps. This is fundamental to my sales life. I'm spending probably $40 a month on apps that help me drive my inbox so I can conquer it. Are you ever going to get to inbox zero? The answer is yes. You absolutely can get your inbox to zero. The way you're going to do it, though, is by embracing these ideas and embracing technology truly to use it to your advantage. I think one of the most important things that my wife ever said to me was, once you lose your excuses, you will find your results. And that applies to weight loss. That applies to managing your inbox. That applies to dealing with your spouse, your partner, whatever. Once you lose your excuses, you will find your results. And that's the vividly important part of understanding how to manage your inbox and really, truly doing it effectively. All right, once you're done, where are you going to find this information? What can I do to help you further? Here's where you can go. Go over to 360adsales.com. Let me show you where this stuff is at. And this is a little shameless, selfless plug for me, but also is going to help you as well. Under this webinars tab, you're going to find every webinar that's ever happened, that we've done for Magazine Manager and many, many others. It's under the webinars tab, free of charge. Watch all the webinars you want. There's 15 hours that are online. Every single month, there's an ad sales blog updated, an article specific for ad sales, specific for all of you. Read that article each and every month. If you're too lazy to read, listen to the Ad Sales Nation podcast. It's there. This month, we're talking about 7 ways to sell digital faster. Every month, special guests on the show. Listen to it while you work. Listen to it while you drive, or whatever the circumstance is. And then maybe, just maybe, you need training. If you need training, under the ad sales training options, there's all kinds of options. online videos. I'll come to your office. John will come to your office. Clay will come to your office. Maybe you need one-on-one coaching. I'm getting pretty full right now, but John's got availability. They all do media. Clay's got availability. Maybe you need one-on-one coaching. Reach out to me. And if nothing else, get over here on the right and sign up for the e-newsletter every month so you know what's going on and what's out there. Happy to help you. Thanks so much for being here, the magazine manager. Big round of applause for the magazine manager and the newspaper manager. Yes. And Christy, we'll be missing you, and everybody else that's over there. That's Andy and Mark, the Marks, and Susan and Jacob, and I'm sure I'm missing somebody that's over there. But these folks are great at wanting you to be the very best you can be in your sales life. So remember something, folks. If ad sales was easy, everybody be doing it, and they're not. So we're either crazy, or we found well, that's possible, by the way, or we found a career that will feed our families for a lifetime. Fall in love with the media business. If you're having a bad week, find out what you loved about it when you started and fall back in love with the media business. All right, friends, I'm Ryan Dorn. Thanks so much. Happy Friday. We'll see you out in the street. Get out there and sell something so that your boss can afford to bring me in and hire me, would you? And train your team. Happy Friday. God bless. See you later. Bye-bye. Good questions, by the way. Thanks so much.